Hey, what's up, everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to create the drill block. So we can see we're going to need this drawing right here. Um, so we're going to be creating this block, putting in 4 different types of holes. Here's all the dimensions that you are going to need. Just know in the end, you need to create a drawing. Just going to go ahead and let you know the scales that you're going to be using for your different views is going to be 1 to 1. Taking a look at the title block here at the bottom, we can also see that this is going to be a B-size title block. Your block needs to be created of anodized blue aluminum. And once you create this top view we see right here, then we're going to create a section view, which is going to create this. And then from the section view, we're going to project a view that's going to look like this. All right, so make sure you have your drill block working drawing in front of you. And let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is create a sketch. And what I'm going to do is come out here, pick on this work plane, and I'm going to create a rectangle. And the dimensions for my block are going to be 3 by 6. All right, so we have that done. Let's go ahead and finish up with the sketch. Now let's go ahead and extrude. So the extrusion on the block is going to be 2 inches. Okay, and now we can go ahead and get started creating our different holes. So I'm going to come up here to hole feature. Okay, I'm going to pick on the surface here, and I can see that this reference dimension is 1.2. All right, and this reference dimension is going to be a distance of 1. All right, so our first type of hole is just going to be a standard hole. It says diameter 0.5 through. All right, so if it is through, we can switch our distance to all. We can say that this is going to be a simple hole. It's going to be a simple hole tap type. Okay, and then it really doesn't matter if this is flat or angled. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. The diameter we said was going to be zero point 0.5. Okay, and we're basically done, so we can go ahead and say okay. All right, so our second hole, we're going to come up here, pick on hole feature, pick on the face that we want to drill the hole, and now we can start getting our dimensions set up. So our reference dimension on this is going to be 1 inch. Our reference dimension on this is going to be 2.4 because we're going to be taking 1.2 and adding 1.2 to it. And now we can go ahead and take a look. So this one is going to require us to plug in a distance because we can see that this counterbore hole does not go all the way down through it as a blind hole. All right. And now we can come down and say we want this to be a counterbore. There's no threading with this, so we can go ahead and keep it as simple. And the drill point is going to be at an angle. Okay, so our diameter here on top, looking at our thread notes, this is indicating this is a 0.75. Okay, and that is going to be drilled down to a depth of 0.5. Rolling down a little bit more, we can see that our small diameter is going to be 0.375. Okay, and then our total distance that this is going to be drilled down is a total distance of 2. All right, so we have that one done. We can go ahead and say okay. All right, and our second hole has been created. Our third hole that we're going to be creating is a countersink. All right, so we're going to come out here, go to hole feature, pick on the surface that we want to drill the hole. Our reference dimension here is going to be 1 inch. Our reference dimension down here is going to be 1.2 times 3, so that's going to be a total of 3.6. Okay, and the third type that we're going to be dealing with is going to be a blind hole, so we can leave it at distance, and now we can switch our hole type to countersink. Okay, there is no threading, so we can keep this at a simple hole tap type. Okay, and is going to be angled at the bottom, so now we can go ahead and scroll down. The diameter of our countersink is going to be a diameter of 1. That's going to be an 82-degree countersink, so we can leave that. Our hole at the bottom is going to be a diameter of 0.25, and altogether that is going to be drilled down to a distance of 2.25. Now we can go ahead and say, okay, now we have our countersink. Okay, and into our last one, we're going to go to hole feature. We're going to pick on the face. Okay, we're going to use this as our reference dimension. That's 1 inch. Okay, and then we're going to come here to the end. This is going to be 1.2 times 4. Okay, and the last one is going to be a counterbore, and it's going to go all the way through. So I'm going to switch the distance to all. I'm going to be picking on counterbore. Okay, our hole tap type, we can see that this is threaded. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be tapped. We can see that our threading is going to go the full length, so we can go with full for our thread offset. And it doesn't matter when it comes to our drill point because it's going to go all the way through. Okay, so we can see our counter bore is going to have a diameter of 0.75, and that is going to be drilled to a depth of 0.625. We're going to scroll down. We're going to be making sure this is ANSI unified screw threads. And the hole notes indicating that this is a half 13 UNC. So if it's 1/2, okay, our size needs to switch to 0.5. And once we switch it over to 0.5, now we're going to see we have some different designations that we can pick. So the thread node is indicating that this is going to be a half 13 UNC, so I can select that. Our classification is 1B. It is right-handed. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is select modeled and say okay. All right, so we have our drill block done. We need to right click on this. We need to come up, go into our physical material. We're going to come underneath metal and we are going to scroll down until we see that aluminum anodized blue, and we're going to drag and drop that right on top. Okay, now we can go ahead and do a save. Okay, so our drill block is complete. Now we need to go over and create a drawing. So I'm going to switch from the design to the drawing environment, and we're going to say we want to create a drawing from our design. We're going to be using our LTHS IED title block. We're going to say okay. And once our title block comes up, we can switch our scale over 1 to 1. We can see that is the wrong view. So I'm now going to switch this from front to top. Okay, and we're just going to drag this up here to the top left and say okay. The sheet size that we are going to need, all right, is not going to be an A size. It needs to be a B. So we're going to come up here, go to our sheet settings and switch our sheet size from an A to a B by hitting on the pencil icon, and we can switch this over to a B size sheet. I'm gonna go ahead and move this up here towards the top left. Okay, and now what we're going to do is create a section view. So we're going to come up here, come to section view. I'm going to scroll in here. I'm going to pick inside of our view. Now I'm going to come here to my midpoint. I'm just going to hover over it and I'm going to pull this over to the left. Okay, so our cutting plane line is going to start not on the object line, but to the left of it. So I'm going to start it here. I'm going to send this all the way through. I need to make sure that cutting plane line stays horizontal. I'm going to go past the object. I'm going to pick, and there's two options. You can either hit the green check or you can right click and say continue. And now we can take our section view and pull this down right below it. Once we're done with that, we can go ahead and say okay. All right, so we're going to be needing some center marks and some center lines. So we can come up here to center mark. We can pick on each individual hole. And now we can come up here to center line and we can just pick the object lines to drop in our center lines. Okay, so that's done. Okay, we can go ahead and move that label up, and now we can go ahead and start dimensioning this. Okay, so we need to add in our dimensions to indicate the spacing for these holes. Drop this down, keep that at 1.2. Okay, now we can go from here to here. Okay, now if it is not snapping on to that location where that's at, go ahead and just take it beyond, drop it right in. Okay, accept it, and now we can come back, we can pick on this, pick and hold on that grip, and we're going to come over here and reference this line, and we can drag it back, and we can place that right there in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and continue on with our dimensions. So we need to go from here to here. I'm going to pull this down. Looks like I grabbed the wrong point. Here we go, from here to here. Bring it down. Okay, and we got one more to go. It's going to be from this center point to this center point and bring it down. All right, so we have all of our dimensions there. And now we can go ahead and put in our overall dimension, which is going to go from here to here. Okay, that's going to be our 6-inch dimension. Okay, over here on the right side, we need to drag in and drop our dimension from here to here, which would be 1 inch. And now we need to go and drag and drop in our dimension, which is 2 inches for, okay, our depth. Okay, our overall height on our dimension for a block is going to be a distance of 3 inches, so we got to include that. Okay, and now we are ready to start putting in our hole notes. Okay, just a little bit of work we might have to do just to kind of shimmy some things around. Just go ahead and get some better spacing. Might have to move up the label. Okay, come to this view. We can drag it down. Okay, and now we are set and ready to go. Looks like I've had an issue with our dimension. Let's try to fix that. Can I get this? Let's go from here to here this time. And we have 1 inch. There we go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is come up here and start putting in our hole notes. All right, a lot of people are wanting to come out here and just go and create a leader, but instead come underneath text, go into hole and thread note, pick on it, and now you can come out here and start putting those hole notes in. So we'll grab that first one, we'll pull it out. Second one, we're going to go ahead, pick it and pull it out. Let's go ahead and accept that. Let's do that again. Hole and thread note, let's go ahead and pull that out. Make sure we have ourselves enough room. Accept that. Let's go ahead and do a hole and thread note here. Let's pick and pull that out. Accept that. And then let's go ahead to our last one, hole and thread note, pick and pull that out. Just give ourselves enough room here. All right, so when taking a look at our hole and thread notes, we can see we need to go to 3 decimal place accuracy according to the working drawing I provided to you, and we can see that all these are sitting at 2 decimal place. Okay, the big issue is that we can remember that that counter bore, okay, was a diameter of 0.375. It's rounding it to 0.38. That is obviously not correct. So up here underneath document settings, we're going to come down, go to dimension units. We're going to be picking on the pencil and coming over here to our linear precision and bumping that up to 3 decimal place. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, so we're at the point now where we need to include a parts list. So I'm going to come up here and go to table, and I'm going to just anchor that at the top right hand corner. And now we can double click on our parts list and we can say we want to remove description, but we want to add mass. And now we can go ahead and close. At this point, this is when we can come in and start cleaning up our parts list. Okay, making sure that we just have one line of text for all these. So we can start kind of maneuvering some things around. Might need to do a pull here at the left first, just to be able to space these out. We're still running out of room. Here we go. Okay, so let's take this down to one line of text, one line of text. Okay, we're looking pretty good. And it looks like this did not anchor. There we go. All right, so we have our parts list there at the top. Just know if you've done this correctly, all right, you should be seeing 53.238 ounces for your mass. Okay, if your number is not showing up with that number, you have not done it correctly. I will give you a leeway of 0.001 for this. All right, so obviously this is giving us a balloon. We don't need the balloon, so we can get rid of that. And the last thing we need to do is actually create this isometric view over here, but it's actually an isometric view of the section view, which means we need to come up here and go to projected view. We're going to pick on that section view. We're going to pick and pull this over. And the last thing we need to make sure to do is to come up here and make sure it is shaded. All right, so there you go. That is how we create that drill block. All right, and that's how we create the drawing that goes along with it. All the information that you see here on this page is what you're going to need for your assignment. In the end, you should be coming out doing an export the PDF out, saving that PDF, and that's what you're going to be turning into Google Classroom. So there you go. Good luck with drill block.